Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of GCC's Georgia Chiro Connection. I'm your host, Dr. Kathy, and today we have Dr. Dwayne Hoskins joining us from Pure Chiro Notes. How are you, Doc?
I am awesome, Dr. Kathy. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Listen, you're
Good.
over there in South Carolina, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm just a little bit to your, well, it depends on how you look at the map, right or left, if you're looking up or down. But yeah, we're just a little bit east of you. It takes me about 3 hours to get to downtown Atlanta.
Okay, and I understand that you're involved with the chiropractic. Is it the board or the association over there?
I am involved. I'm the executive director for the Palmetto State Chiropractic Association. We're an IFCO affiliate, not an ICA or an ACA affiliate. We're an IFCO affiliate. So we're the straight side, if you want to get in that debate. We're the ones that are protecting chiropractic for chiropractic's sake, not trying to expand scope, trying to keep chiropractic in chiropractic.
Love it. Love
Yeah.
it. So then I think a perfect conversation for us today would be let's talk about some philosophy.
Okay. Where do you want to start?
Let's talk about how do you infuse philosophy into your practice? Because I know a lot of us, we have the philosophy inside of us, but it doesn't always come out of us and get shared with patients. So let's talk a little bit about that. How do you do that?
Well, you already solved the first step. It's got to be inside you first. You got to understand what innate is doing in your body first. And I just had a massive re-education this last weekend of what innate does in my body. It took a toxin that snuck in through some bottled water and sent me uh, near death. I mean, my heart rate was near 200, no pulse, chills, just no strength at all. I was completely gone, and my innate, the inborn God-given ability of my body to self-heal and to adapt, took that, surrounded it, and is getting rid of it out of my body in ways that we can't discuss in any kind of nice setting. So being constantly reminded of what innate does in our body helps us to say, "Oh, I recognize what it's doing in your body," say, Mrs. Smith. "Oh, Billy, I know exactly why this is going on in your whole being. Why you can't sit still in school and why you can't focus and all this stuff is your innate is blocked from adapting to normal situations." And Grandma Betty, this is why you are having these issues and dealing with daily activities is because innate's being blocked of having your knees work like they're supposed to. And as chiropractors, if we just want to break it down to the bare essentials, all we are doorkeepers to allow innate to do her work. We open the door, let innate do her work. We should take no more credit than a door person does in New York City. Take the tips that the people leave us and let innate do her job. She's the master of the body. She will do what she needs to do without interference. And all we do is open that. We break down the interference. We open the door. We blast open the door when necessary. We hold open the door when necessary, depending on what the client needs and what their innate is asking our innate to deliver as a chiropractor. And if we understand that simplicity of what we do and not try to say, well, C3 is rotated this many degrees this way and putting this much pressure on this specific nerve, which happens to maybe go to these specific things, but doesn't talk to anything else in the body. If we just step back to the principle of innate and all of the principles of all the three principles that have to do with innate and her job, and then interference in the flow of instructions from her to the rest of the body, and realize what kind of a job we get to do as a chiropractor, it should just blow our minds and make us so excited. And here's the key to the answer: get so excited about what it does that I can't wait to tell the next person, this is what's going on inside your body. Wait until you see the results when we let her free to do her job.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's how it gets in you. That's how it gets into your clients, is when you let it out of yourself.
And really, it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
It's just as simple as that. I think we clog it up, we mess it up, we clutter it up, right? We sully it,
We
but
subluxate it.
right. We get subluxated in our conversation.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
reality is we find it, we fix it, we leave it alone.
Well, we accept it. We find it. We accept it. We help fix it. And then we stand back and watch Anita do her work, which is leave it alone.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. So patients come in to offices all over the world on a daily basis. Some of them get what we do.
Yep.
Some of them get what it does for them.
Yep.
And some of them don't get it at all.
Then
Right.
that's okay.
Some of them just have lost faith in their body's ability to heal. They don't trust their body at all. They don't even trust their body to know when to push a baby out. Right. Like they're so scared. They don't know that the baby knows when to come out. So some people are so out of touch with the fact that there is an innate intelligence within their body. How do you bridge that gap with the people that just they're not even on the same pathway? They could be miles behind. They're not even on the same pathway as you.
Well, at some point, to have the conversation, you need to accept them. You just need to accept them how they are. I'm a biblical Christian, just like Jesus accepts us as we are. As chiropractors, we just need to accept them as they are. We don't change. We don't change. We have the answer. We accept them as they are. Let them use the words that they use. We don't have to use the words they use. Let them use the words they use. Let them tell their story. Let them talk to us in their vocabulary that they've learned, using whatever we can do to interpret that. We feed back to them chiropractic philosophy and say, well, let's think about that. Is it because pain is the most driving force? Or, if you think about how the body was made, only 5% of everything in the body and the nervous system has anything to do with pain, where 95% of the nervous system is about how the body's actually functioning. So if you have this much pain, yeah, that's an alarm, but an alarm's a normal part of a system. You don't want to have a house without smoke detectors. That's alarms. You just never want them to go off. And if they're going off all the time, why would you pull the batteries out, which is what drugs do?
Right.
Go find the fire, get out of the house, which we can't do in the body. And the analogy, but get the firefighters in there to find the problem and to put out the fire. And so getting them into using I'm in so much pain. It's like, okay, but that's only 5% of what's going on. I'm trying to open up the door so innate can go and solve the problem, which is your heart, your liver, your kidneys, your intestines, as well as that little piece of pain. And so let me do my job. Primary is take pressure off the nervous system so your brain is happy, which is normal. Let's get back to normal. And that's happy. And as the brain gets happy, everything starts to flow from the brain out and everything else starts to get happy. And that pain may be the first thing to go away or the 20th thing to go away. I can't predict that. But I know that if we can help the brain get back to normal and happy, everything else will get to normal and happily eventually. We just have to keep the doors open. We have to keep the interference away so that these things that you're latched onto because of training, because of inundation in marketing, because of that's all you know. Nobody's ever taught you anything else. That's the only words you know. That will fade and you'll come down to a realization of, oh, there's more going on in my body than just is there pain or not. And that's a process. And you don't hit them with that when they step in the door and say, hey, my low back hurts. Can you help me? You don't give them a 30-minute lecture on how stupid they are. Over time, you show them how stupid in a uninformed, uneducated, nobody ever bothered to tell you the truth kind of way of, now let's get more enlightened. Let's get more in tune with our body. As you let innate take over, your body's going to function at a much higher level. It's going to be much more normal. And frankly, normal is as good as you can get. In fact, Dr. Kathy, here's a quiz. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Think of every miracle story that anybody's ever told you on this platform. Think of every chiropractic miracle, medical miracle, shaman miracle, Jesus miracle, any miracle you've ever heard of in your entire life. How many of those were anything other than the body returning to normal?
I love that you asked that. I had 2 missionaries in the office this morning from Panama. Wonderful patients. They travel, they're all over the world, and then they come back in. And even the stories that they tell, what's happening, those miracles under our hands, the child with the ear infections, the person who, has been diagnosed with infertility, as we call it, fertility challenges, the miracles that we talk about, it's bringing the body back to exactly where it was supposed to be. I love that. I love that perspective.
So what, when you boil it down to what really is happening, we are the luckiest profession. We're the most blessed profession God has ever let be created in the world.
Yeah.
We get so much credit for just pulling people out of the mud and washing them off so they could be normal.
When you
I
say
love
it
it.
like that, it
I
doesn't
love it.
sound so special. But I mean, it really is. What we do is amazing. We connect man the physical, man the spiritual, and nobody else does that.
Yeah,
I love it.
absolutely.
I love it. That's a great way to break down the philosophy and just make it,
Well,
it's as simple as that.
and that brings it back to your first question: is how do you bring philosophy into what you do? Well, this is conversations I have at church. This is conversations I have at the golf course. I mean, when philosophy is inundates you and it's part of your essence, it comes out everywhere.
Right.
It's not just, oh, I have to plan on, is philosophy going to come out today? How am I going to force it out? Or is it just oozing out so much that
Right.
you can't wash the stink of your philosophy off you no matter how many showers you take?
Right.
Right?
Because it's what's in you. It's what comes out of you.
It's what's in you, it's on you, it's what your essence is made of.
I've tried teaching my children that, through the most difficult situations that we've had to endure. I remind them, if somebody squeezes you and you're under pressure and you're bitter like lemons, it's because you got lemons inside of you. But if in reality you're a sweet orange, then no matter how much pressure you're under, you're always going to be sweet. You got to be true to who you are. So if chiropractic is in you, chiropractic is what comes out of you. I love that.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. What a great message today. Thank you so much for sharing that.
No problem. What else do you want to talk about?
Why don't you give us a quick patient story? Because I know we always love to inspire people or reignite them and connect them back to their why and give them something to kind of get fired up about.
Well, this is a true story, and it's actually close personal friends from back 20 years ago. They brought their daughter in, who was 17 at the time, and she was having some low back pain, and we just took care of her, did the analysis, did my thing, and after the second visit, a few days later, just the mom shows up for the return visit. She goes, "What are you doing to my daughter?" I'm like, "Okay, this seems confrontational. What's going on?" She goes, "My daughter's had a menstrual flow every day for the last 12 years. Sound biblical? Not intentional. It just has. And they stopped after our last visit. I want to know what you did." I'm like, frankly, you didn't tell me this in my investigation, even though I asked you, is there anything else weird going on? You didn't bother to tell me that. So we have a problem already. Second of all I did was allow the body freedom to do what it needed to do in the first place. So I take no credit for it. I take no blame for it. It's just what the body decided to do. However, why are you mad at me? I think this might be a good thing.
Right.
Well, unfortunately, the mom's a nurse and they're hospital fixated. And so this is one way of her staying involved with the hospital is her daughter constantly needed medical care because they kept her in this state. And so they never came back. In fact, they stopped dealing with us at church even because the daughter had this healing, returned to normal.
Right.
After 2 visits. So another one, my daughter was dating this boy, and he was on some strong diabetic medication. He's only 17, 18 years old, and his normal blood sugar was 680, even under medication. I'm like, there might be some things that we could do, and I want you, if you're dating my daughter, I want you as subluxation free as possible, so you're making right decisions, right? So after 2 or 3 weeks, he goes in for his regular checkup, and his blood sugar's down to 120. And they're like, "What have you been doing?" It's like, well, the only thing different is I've been dating this gal and getting chiropractic adjustments from her dad. And the medical doctor goes, "Oh, well, that means the medication's working. Let's go ahead and change it, but stop going to the chiropractor." And next week, his blood sugar goes back up to 680, 700. So again, when you let the body return to normal, or you allow just open the doors, the body can return to normal. I tell you those two things to set up this third one. And this is my most important miracle story that I can tell. I had this family come in and they understood about chiropractic. They were all in. They were living a natural life out in the middle of nowhere. They're like, we want to go ahead and pay for the year because we like to do that kind of things, but we don't have enough in our funds to pay for the year. Like, that's okay, so that we set up monthly. No thoughts about it. Next May, they came in with a check for the entire year. I'm like, what's going on? They're like, well, when we did our taxes in April, we realized we had zero medical costs last year coming into you weekly. And so all of that savings allows us to pay you for the full year.
Love it.
So even though they were healthy, they realized they were still spending medical, but getting regular care, just the baseline of health improves.
Yes.
So that's my favorite miracle story. All three of them are true. All three of them happened when I was in Indiana before I moved down here to South Carolina. They're all true. And those are my three favorite ones.
I love them. They're very inspirational. So thank you for sharing them. Yeah. Thank you for coming on with us today.
Oh, my pleasure. I know we didn't talk about pure Chiro notes or Titronics, but you know what? We can talk about that anytime. We try to support the GCC as much as we can. If we supported every state association and every international association and every school, we try to do as much as we can as often as we can. So we'll get around and we'll be more visible and more vocal. But you can find out.
Love it. Tell us the website. How do people get in touch?
It's really difficult. PureChiroNotes.com or Titronics.com.
Love it. You made it simple for us.
And I'm Doc Hoskins in almost every platform, social media platform out there. So don't hesitate to ask me questions or look me up or see what's going on.
Fantastic. Thank you. And I want to kind of go off of that and say, for those of you who have been watching us before, or have seen some of our sponsors or learned from some of our sponsors or our speakers, if you're not currently a member, we're going to ask you and invite you to please, this is my appeal, please go ahead and check out our website, georgiachiropractic.org, and find out about becoming a member, because as a member, you get access to a lot of great content, but you also get discounted or free continuing ed seminars and philosophy seminars, because that is part of some of the membership. So check out all the details on georgiachiropractic.org. Now, let me give you a list of things that are coming up for the GCC. Coming up in May, we have our annual Cinco de Chiro. That's our Cinco de Mayo. That's our philosophy fiesta with some fun, some fellowship, lots of great food. I believe Dr. Drew is going to be picking up that phenomenal Mexican food. Why can't I think of the name? Willie's, like he always does. So we're going to have that on Saturday, May 4th, that's Cinco de Chiro. Then coming up after that in June 22nd and 23rd, we have our summer CE. We're moving locations. We keep saying this. We want to make sure nobody goes to the wrong building. We're going to be at Atlanta Marriott Perimeter. That's the one 285 and 400. Got a great lineup of speakers. And I'm going to fast forward you all the way to September. Mark your calendars. Friday, September 13th is our 7th annual GCC Chiro Cup. You can get the information at chirocup.com. You can become a sponsor at chirocup.com. You can sponsor a whole at chirocup.com, and you can register yourself or your team of 4 at chirocup.com. Listen, you asked for a Friday. We gave you a Friday. So make it worth your while. We have some great prizes there. We've got great lunch, great breakfast. You're going to love it. We always do a great job with that. So that's Friday, September 13th. All that information and more is on our website. So Dr. Hoskins, I want to thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. It's an honor to be with you specifically. I love you and I love your organization because you love the things that I love, specifically chiropractic.
I love it. I love you. I love you always and in all ways. So everybody, thank you so much for joining us here. We'll be right back next week at GCC's Georgia Chiro Connection on Wednesday. So we'll see you then. Take care, everybody.